Hollywood Brown is back, but there's plenty of guys on the busted bus. Who's when and where for preseason game number 3, and who makes the difference today on Locked On Chiefs?
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome in, Chiefs Kingdom. Thanks for making us your first listen here on Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Check out another Locked On show for your next listen, whether it's somebody in conference or somebody else you want to get the information. We're here for you 5 days a week plus, especially this time of year. And we like to bring it all to one show, and that's why this day, Wednesday, is your favorite day, because Matt Derrick joins us every week from ChiefsDigest.com and Chiefs Digest here on the YouTube platform, as well as 41 is the mic. We have a lot to go over, and we thank you for being part of our everydayers. If you're one of them, you know. If you're not, you need to be. And you can get there by checking out the text line at 816-357-8781 and subscribing on YouTube, subscribe on the audio channels, subscribe to multiple platforms for all we care. You might as well get it because it's free all the time, everywhere. We are going to run it down for you as we're getting ready to see preseason game number 3. The normal dud of the preseason is now kind of the hinge point. So what's different about that? Bubble management. Who is going to be on that bubble right now and has a chance to do something? That's coming up later in the show. What are we going to see from these starters in the game? They normally breathe at and walk off the field. And we're going to start with the good news that Hollywood Brown is back out there, as are a couple of other guys, but this is still a team that is dealing with injuries across the board. Check out Matt. First question for you, but bringing Hollywood back at this point, I think is probably a sigh of relief for a lot of folks, especially with the Rashee Rice situation. I don't think that I was terribly concerned he was going to miss regular season time, but I honestly didn't expect him to be available for this game. What's your impression, and how surprised were you?
Not terribly surprised, because the Chiefs were optimistic and hopeful that he could be back to at least get a little bit of work in and maybe play in this game on Friday. And I don't expect him to play much. I think he'll play a few snaps. Now we'll see. I mean, the first team, I think, will certainly probably play at least the first quarter, maybe 2 or 3 drives, might even play into the second if they're in the middle of a possession. I don't necessarily think that the first team will play the entire first half, but they're going to play more. And it's a little bit different. I think there's a couple of reasons for that. One is certainly, I think the Brazil game, I think changes things a little bit. You've got a quick turnaround from roster cuts to getting ready for Brazil. And so I think there's a little bit of wanting to change that. I think there's a little bit of not having, a great deal of faith in the system where you maybe play your starters in week 2 in the preseason game 2, and then you basically sit them for 3, almost 4 weeks until week 1. That hasn't worked out great for, I think, a lot of teams, and I think that's why the Chiefs wanted to give a little bit less of a break for their starters before that game in Brazil. But 3 is that it gives Brett Veach and the coaching staff time to evaluate the younger players than waiting until game 3. That game Friday night was basically the tryout for all the young guys, and the opportunity to put some good work on film. They'll still play a little bit in this final game, but this game now is the tune-up for the starters. So this week they're going through everything that they're doing is a way that they would do it during a normal game week. So we're not seeing first team versus first team. We're seeing first team versus scout team. Their game planning looks like maybe a couple of different teams. So I think they're doing a little bit of game planning for the Bears, maybe a little game planning for the Chargers, just peeking ahead. But that's all that this week is. It's essentially a run through for the regular season. And, hey, a guy like Hollywood is going to play. So he's getting more work. He got a little bit more work on Tuesday than he did on Monday. Wednesday is going to be one of their 10-10-10s. It's where they go through their final run through on everything, as far as really nailing down whatever they're going to end up running on Friday night against the Bears. And so won't be a really intense practice, but we'll see how much Hollywood does in that one. It's basically one of the situations. Hey, if you're playing with the first team, if you're working with the first team right now, you're going to play Friday. If you're not, you're working with the scout team, and he's not doing any scout team work.
It's interesting to me that they're changing this after the way that they've done it for the past several years. And it really, since Andy Reid has been there, he's always set the starters for the most part for preseason game number 3. I have to ask Matt, how much do you think that this being one Obviously, you said Brazil, but the part about the Brazil game is that you're losing some valuable time because you have such a long travel time to get there. You're going to have a lot of travel time when you get there, when you're actually there trying to get to the stadium and whatnot. But also, it's a divisional game, so it makes a big difference to this organization to win that game.
Yeah, and they're doing things maybe a little bit differently than they would do for a traditional, international game. Sounds like they're going to be doing practice on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday in Kansas City, traveling on Wednesday, then doing their walkthrough on Thursday before the game on Friday. And I mean, it is a like 13-hour trip, a 12-hour trip. So I believe that they're leaving. I think their flight leaves at 6, and so they're going to be landing like 9:00 local time in Brazil. So yeah, I mean that's you're going to spend all day Wednesday on the plane, and then hopefully, obviously, get a good night's sleep on Wednesday night and be able to roll Thursday. You don't have the massive time change difference. It's just a couple of hours difference, not the 6-7 hour difference that you get going to Europe. But it's enough that, I mean, and the travel's long enough that you're taking an entire day to make the trip. So they're doing things a little bit differently that week than they would even with a normal week. But I think, especially as far as how they do the preseason games, I mean, I think every team's still figuring out how to handle things in a 3 preseason game world. And I think the Chiefs handled it better than most, but I don't think there's any doubt last year. There was, I think, a little bit of frustration with the rust that they had coming off the fact that they played in that second preseason game, and then you're not getting out there until week 1. And like I said, that is like can be like a 19-20 day stretch. That's a long time between your last action. So I think the starters are going to appreciate getting that time. The other part of it too is that, and we'll throw this in there, the Chiefs had 2 West Coast games essentially in the preseason. And I think that has been really taxing too. So asking your starters and everybody to play in those back-to-back games in Arizona and Seattle, I think was also something they had to kind of want to break up a little bit.
It makes a ton of sense. And now that we've covered part of what we expect from the starters, that trip is all encompassing. Like it's shielding part of the entire preseason. You got to have your players back so that you know what you're going to war with. There are a lot of guys out. We're going to cover some of the injuries and who's coming back coming up next. This episode is presented by Yahoo Fantasy, and it's the best time of the year because the NFL kickoff is almost here, and that means fantasy football season is back in full swing. This year, Yahoo Fantasy is turning things up with a fantasy football experience like never before. This year, me and Locked On Chiefs are playing on Yahoo Fantasy, so you should too. Whether you're a first-timer or a veteran making your millionth league, you can get into it. My main league is over 20 years old, and it's been on Yahoo forever. Make sure you check this out because to celebrate their 28 years of fantasy football greatness, Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over the 28 days throughout August. To kick it off, they just dropped the Yahoo Fantasy Guillotine Leagues, a killer new way to play fantasy football on Yahoo where the lowest scoring team gets eliminated from the league each week until there's only one left standing. And this season, it's just around the corner. Now's the time to get your league together and give it a try in a new mode, whether it's one of the classics, this guillotine, or head-to-head, or you can just join a normal public league like you have in the past. Stay tuned for more killer announcements and start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football now at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. Now, I am all for some good news, and Hollywood certainly is, but he's not the only one. As I run down this list, Matt, just stop me from panicking here. Jalen Royals with a knee, Najee Johnson with a shoulder, Mike Edwards hamstring, Jack Cochran a bone bruise, Ethan Driscoll obviously with that appendectomy, didn't expect him. Omar's still got that same ankle. None of those guys at practice this week, but Noah Williams returned to the field today. Jay Brindingstool returned to the field yesterday and actually did a couple of things today. I know I'm a little panicked and maybe I'm overly concerned about the corner group, but getting Noah back in particular is the thing that stands out to me there, that you got to have your guys to perform not just this game, but then to get ready for those Chargers. What is that lift for that position group in particular?
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting because, you look at getting Noah Williams back right now is good. So you're really only missing Najee Johnson. Maybe if you bring in the safety group, I mean, missing Mike Edwards affects it a little bit. But, if you were talking about, the likelihood that maybe you keep 5 corners, well, okay, Trent McDuffie, no problems there. No problem of history, and he's obviously your best player. But Christian Fulton, injury history. Jalen Watson, injury history. Najee Johnson, injury history, and banged up right now. Noel Williams coming off a concussion. I mean, there's a lot of questions there, and you even still have performance questions because you don't really know what you have in 4 of those guys. So now, does it become increasingly likely that you keep a Josh Williams? Maybe. I think his prospects of maybe cracking the roster is better now than it was last week at this time. Is it a firm thing? No. I mean, I think he's still firmly on the bubble, and he would still be one of my guys that maybe could use a change of scenery. If a team calls and wants to inquire about Josh Williams, I think the Chiefs would answer and listen and answer. So there's still a lot of movement there because, and again, you go back to even last year, the Chiefs were making changes and bringing guys in even during week 1 at the cornerback position. They're never settled at that spot. And injuries obviously play a factor into it. You did list the injuries, Ryan, and really probably the only couple that would be concerning to me. Jack Cochran sounds like that's an injury that could extend into the beginning of the season. Chiefs probably aren't going to rule out the possibility that he starts the season on injured reserve, but it's not a lock either. I think it's going to be questionable what his status will be. Probably good news there for a guy like Cooper McDonald that's got a chance to crack this roster. And if Cochran has to start the season on injured reserve, I think you could almost pencil in Cooper McDonald. The other injuries don't appear to be too much, but Jared Wiley and Jake Brenningstool, both of them are coming off of injuries, and I don't think that either one of them are both 100% yet. Yep. So those two also might be guys that you maybe have to tap the brakes on a little bit, or at least protect them. And Brenningstool might be the most interesting one because you're not waiving Jake Brenningstool. He's not clearing waivers. Somebody will claim him. So, I was told that there were 16 teams that were bidding for him, and it came down to the Chiefs and Eagles. So, Brenningstool, not going anywhere.
Not going.
Well, and that makes it really interesting because you start looking at the roster, and that's 5 tight ends that you have to talk about and how you're going to get that to fit when you start talking about the injuries and what they're dealing with. You look at how this is going to shake out and how the starters are going to play. You said earlier you think that they play maybe into the second quarter, probably not into the second half. That kind of makes sense to me. What are you expecting, or who are you going to have your eyes on starter-wise for Friday night?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing you have to be watching continually is Kingsley Suamatia. You haven't gotten a ton of look from him at the guard spot, but the Cliff Notes version of the reviews of his work so far has been that really good run blocker, maybe at times an elite run blocker, but pass blocking is a question mark. And, generally the reviews that I've been getting from him from a couple of different people now has just been that they feel like that Kingsley is very aggressive in run blocking, and that benefits him. He's just super passive in pass blocking and doesn't take the initiative. And that's one of the reasons why he maybe gets driven back a little bit. Andy Reid even talking about, he had a couple of plays where he's tripping over the running back. Well, he shouldn't be anywhere close to the running back. He should be holding his ground a bit more. So that's, I think, the one area that you have to watch, because I'll tell you, I mean, I've seen no evidence whatsoever that the Chiefs are considering any alternative to Kingsley Suamatia starting in week 1. It seems right now, I mean, it's full steam ahead. But have you seen enough to feel comfortable that he can handle the job? Have you seen enough that, maybe you want to go somewhere else? Or have you seen enough that you just need to have a leash of some sort of a variable distance on how long you're going to go with Kingsley Suamatia before you need to consider alternatives? It seems like there's different opinions on that all over the board. But the Chiefs right now, they're rallying around Kingsley for the most part, all the coaches, and saying, hey, they think that he can work through whatever problems he's having and be the starter. But I think that's got to be where everybody's eyes are going to be on Friday night.
It's not the Bengals' interior offensive line, but it is something to watch for sure.
No, but watching Joe Burrow run for his life will absolutely make any coach or GM absolutely terrified.
It made me laugh. Sorry, but that's me. So
21 snaps Kingsley's had to this point. That's is not much to build comfort with. I think, and I spoke about this yesterday, Matt. I want to get your opinion. The pairing, though, the pairing of he and Josh Simmons, that's one thing that I have to watch tomorrow night, as long as the starters are out there, and hopefully they even let them go a little bit farther. If they play into the third quarter, I'm probably good with that. Always nervous about an injury, yes, but they need those reps. How are you feeling about them as a pair?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, they need those reps, and that's obviously one of the reasons why the Chiefs aren't right now planning for any change at that position, because those two guys need to work together. I mean, there's no benefit to the Chiefs to splitting time with Kingsley with another option like punting Mike Caliendo in there or rotating a Jalen Moore in there, because those two guys need to play as many reps as they can. So they get used to one another. They can understand, you say, there's strengths and differences. They're communicating when they have to, pass off and when they have responsibilities and when they're making, not everything, and actually rarely is anything in the NFL an individual block one-on-one. It's usually multiple decisions, and you've got both your center and your quarterback that are making calls about what your responsibility are. So it might change on a play. So knowing what your responsibility is on paper to begin a play is one thing, but then adjusting to it when your center, the quarterback, is making a call because of what they see, and now you've got to react to that. That's where rookies struggle, and that's where both of these guys are having some, trouble. And Kingsley, especially, just because another position too. But even Simmons is going to be struggling with that as well. So that's why definitely they both need that time, not just individually, but also collectively, because they have to get used to each other, and they've got to be talking and communicating out there.
When you look at how this is set up for this game, if the offense comes out there and they find a way to score 2 touchdowns in the first 2 drives, do you think it's over regardless of it not even being in the second quarter, or do you think that they'll have them play just so they can get more time?
Yeah, in that scenario, I mean, if the offense comes out and puts up 2 touchdowns in 2 drives, you're probably just saying, okay, you're done. Your first team offense has now had 3 drives and 3 touchdowns. Yep. They've seen enough. And that's the thing, is that I don't think that you would see. I don't see that the Chiefs having a lot of interest in having Simmons and or Kingsley playing with the second team just to get snaps in. So that's, I think, would be the only other thing, is that I don't think that they see like there's a lot of benefit. There's probably just too much risk with having them play with the second team line that they've never played with before, playing with the second, backup quarterback and Gardner Minshew, who they haven't played a lot with. So I would imagine that wouldn't be the case, but that would be, I think, the best case, worst case scenario. It's the best case for the offense to go in there, because, I mean, hey, if the Chiefs were to have three offensive possessions for the first team offense and 3 touchdowns, you'd be saying everything's fixed. I mean, Patrick's going to be MVP. You're going back to the Super Bowl again. No problems. But you'd also be saying, we still don't know anything about this offensive line and the left side of it, because you might end up with 30-odd snaps. You're not even talking about having an entire half of football maybe of work from your left guard and your left tackle.
It's last chance to show out. Preseason game number 3. We're going to tell you right now, wearing number 2 is a problem. They're on the bubble next.
Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Game Time makes it possible. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app usually actually drop the closer you get to the first pitch. And they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. Game Time is the official ticketing partner of Locked On MLB, making it easier to browse the app for exciting upcoming MLB games. Tired of endless scrolling trying to find the best deal? Game Time's zone deals pick the best seats in your section for you. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem Code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Now make sure you check out over at ChiefsDigest.com, at Chiefs Digest on the YouTube platform, as well as 41 is the mic. Everything that Matt does everywhere on every TV station, radio show, horse-drawn buggy, or anything around town, you can find Matt Derrick. Now, I am not one that is overly superstitious. You can ask Matt. It's not like all my bets are prime numbers when I play Texas Hold'em or anything. But the number that I'm most concerned about right now is the numeral 2, because both these guys in my mind are on the bubble. I know Tyquan Thornton has had a good preseason. I want him on this roster. With Hollywood's return and the intrigue, let's call it, around Rashee Rice, I still feel he's right there on the bubble, maybe on the positive side, Matt, where, as you mentioned earlier, Josh Williams, we thought was all the way off it and is now squarely on the bubble as well. What are you reading about the opportunity in this game and what each of them have to do right now?
Well, I'm going to tell you, one of these guys is not on the bubble. Tyquan Thornton is not on the bubble.
Okay.
Tyquan Thornton is on the roster. Chiefs are keeping 6 receivers. The question is whether they keep 7. And I think they're going to have to, because they're going to keep six receivers with Tyquan Thornton. You know, the 5 in front of him. The question then is, who's your returner? Who's your punt returner and one of your 2 kick returners? Right now, that's Nico Remigio. So I'm that 7th receiver spot's that one that fits in with the 4th running back, who I will tell you that I don't think that the 4th running back on this roster in week 1, I don't think is on the roster right now. So that's one reason why you might be keeping 7 receivers, because you're only keeping 3 running backs to start week 1, at least the beginning of week 1. How many offensive linemen are you going to keep? Is it going to be 9 or 10? I think 9 defensive linemen is about right, but the injury to Felix Anudike-Uzomah and the questions at defensive tackle, especially Omar Norman-Lott, might change that a little bit. Like you brought up, Josh Williams, the other number 2, it may be squarely on the bubble. I mean, this is a guy that I could absolutely see on the Chiefs 53. I could see him getting waived. I could see him getting traded. But I also don't think if he gets waived, I don't think he's clearing waivers, so I don't see him coming back on the practice squad.
Yeah, so going about anywhere with Josh Williams, and I completely understand that. It could be any specific position, whether it's in Kansas City or elsewhere. The question I have, and we kind of talked about this earlier, but I have to ask, what do they do at tight end? Because the reality is you got 5 guys, and you're saying they don't want to be letting Breenstool go. Tonyan has been one of their best receivers, if not their best receiver during the preseason. How do you deal with 5 tight ends?
Well, you're not going to have 5 tight ends. You're keeping 4 for sure. And I think that's pretty well. I say 4 for sure. You're keeping 3 for sure. And that's set. I mean, Tunion's one of those 3, along with Noah Gray and Travis Kelce. The question is then, hey, is Jared Wiley healthy enough to be the 4th? If that's the case, yes. The 5th, Jake Breenstool is. I don't think he is healthy enough to be playing right now full time. I mean, he is a guy who, with the hamstring, because remember, he basically had 2 hamstrings. It's unclear whether the hamstring that he suffered in OTAs was different or just a retweak of the one that he had in training camp. So, but that's been an extended issue. He doesn't have a lot of body of work. So as a rookie, especially, he needs more time. So I would not be surprised. Now, it's going to come down to a little bit of gamesmanship here, because the Chiefs do have those 2 IR spots that they can use next Tuesday to put 2 guys on injured reserve during the cut down to 53. Now, Felix Anudike-Uzomah does not qualify for that. And so he's on IR. He's done for the season. That question is answered. But you get 2 of those. But you know what? There's gamesmanship that you can do, because if Breenstool makes the 53, you can put him on injured reserve the next day and still have a designation to return, and he doesn't count as one of your 2 during cutdowns. Now, how do you game plan around that? Well, you've got 2 veterans for sure that are going to make this team, and Mike Pennell and Robert Tonyan, that don't have to go through waivers. So you can release them, say, guys, we just need your roster spot for a day or 2. We're going to let you go. We're going to sign you back the next day so we can put these guys on IR. I mean, that rule still works. So don't be surprised if the Chiefs do pull a few tricks here. And honestly, don't be surprised if they're active in trades, both, maybe shopping players and bringing guys in, because if the Chiefs want to, there's a couple of spots where they would like to address some depth. Running back is one of them. Defensive tackle is another. Trying to get better at corner is one of them. So they also know that 31 on the waiver wire, they're not getting anybody. So the only way that they're going to, build depth at any one of those spots is with making some trades next week.
Really quick, sorry. Do you think that they can put Wiley on IR with the way the fact that he has played and the way that would look at this point?
I mean, they could put him on, but I don't think he would clear waivers. So I think that would be a thing, because I think there's teams out there would absolutely claim him.
Putting him on IR?
Oh, excuse me. You talked about putting him on IR. They could absolutely. No, Wiley would absolutely. I mean, there's just straight out saying, hey, he's still not 100%, even though he's been practicing. He's still not 100% from the knee, or, you can tweak something. I mean, anybody can tweak something.
Yeah.
Walking into the meeting.
I'm answering that question more with my eyes than my words.
Fair enough.
Folks, if you're not on the YouTube, get off the audio and go watch Matt tell you what he's telling
There you go.
Now, all kidding aside, there's opportunity in this last ball game right now to make that impression. We've talked about a number of them. Is there anyone else that you feel has a unique opportunity here, whether it's on special teams? Dave Tobe had a lot of nice things to say about a lot of guys today. Anybody you feel is within striking distance of that bubble that just needs to make a play or two?
Yeah, I may have mentioned him earlier, but, like Cooper McDonald is a guy, as an undrafted free agent. I think Esapole is another guy that could nail down those last couple of spots at those positions. Like a 10th offensive lineman, 6. I know they're going to kick 7 linebackers, but hey, if Jack Cochran ends up on IR, Cooper McDonald is making this team. And I think he could absolutely solidify that with his work on Friday night. The two players that I think, and these are veterans that I think can work their way on or off the roster because of the injury to Felix Anudike-Uzomah. I mean, there's an extra spot for the defensive line. I think it's either going to go to Malik Herring or Marlon Tuipulotu. And those two guys, I think, are both fighting. I thought that Tuipulotu got an opportunity against the Seahawks. I didn't think he was great, so he's probably going to get a second chance this week. But Malik Herring, I mean, the Chiefs will know a little bit about Malik, obviously, because he's been here for a while. But I think those two guys might be battling for what could really, truly be the 53rd spot on this team. I think the depth chart at a lot of other places is set. I think the die is kind of cast. The decision is going to be, like I said, it's going to be, the 7th wide receiver. If they keep a 7th, if they keep a 4th tight end, which I think, they probably will. If they keep a 10th offensive tackle, if they keep how many, 6 corners, 4 safeties, 5 corners, 5 safeties, those are going to be, to me, the real decisions. But like I said, I mean, I think that might be the biggest battle there. It was just, who do they feel more comfortable with on the defensive line? Is it going to be Malik Herring, Tuipulotu? Maybe it's going to be neither.
Somebody's going to make their fortunes, and this is the last chance to do it. So make sure you guys are tuned in and ready to go. You can find Matt on all of his outlets. You can find me and Chris. Forgot to tell you, you can find Chris at KC Chiefs Corner. You can find me at NFL 33 and RGR Football. So please check those out as well, Matt. Thanks for giving us your prognostication skills. And we'll be back with you tomorrow around cutdowns. So it should be a very active show. Thanks, buddy.
Absolutely. Look, it's going to be a busy week ahead for all of us.
Oh, it's going to be a good time. Make sure you guys like, sub, and hit that bell. Make sure you check us all out. We appreciate all of your time. Get ready for the last chance to dance here. Preseason game number 3 is right around the corner. Have a good one, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.